So, I want to talk about being able to share content consistently on social media. One of the issues that I see, whether people talk about it or not, is just a inability to be able to share consistently or post consistently on social media. And one of the ways that I suggest that businesses, organizations, individuals do this is by curating content. So take advantage of the content sources that exist and share their content on your platforms, because that still helps with you becoming a thought leader. That still helps with your brand. That still helps with providing value with your audience. It just doesn't require you to create it. So take advantage of people who that's their job or that's their passion, whereas they get up every day and they create content for these platforms so you can share it. And you don't have to give credit, but you can. It's a great way to build audience by tagging those different publications, but this is a valuable tool. Now, while I always say that curating content is, one of the best ways to have consistent content, especially while you're building your own content, creating your content, figuring out what that content's going to look like, you can still be engaging, sharing, and posting on social media. But like I like to say, I don't want to be one of those experts that says things like, do this, but then don't tell you really how to do it. And curating content is a very straightforward idea, but it's not necessarily something that's overly simplistic. And it's very easy kind of initially in practice, but it takes some time to get into a habit of having good content to curate. So I want to talk to you about building a content library, because that is where kind of the money is when it comes to curating content. So finding good content to share is great. But if you've ever, taken some time and you say, you know what, I want to schedule some social media. And if you don't have like any blog posts or videos or newsletters or something that that you've created for your business to share, then you can easily find yourself spending hours doing research online, finding content to share on social media. I know because I've done it. And this is something that I've thought to do that I've now started to implement in my own social media, but also in social media that I do for clients is I like to create a content library that they can use to pull from on a consistent basis. And so in order to do that, it can take maybe a couple of hours to at least get you a good foundation. So if you following the steps that I'm going to give you today, you will have a good library foundation that you can then use to have a place to go whenever you need content. So you don't have to, spend a lot of time trying to surf Twitter or surfing the web or looking around trying to find things that fit your audience, that fit your brand. You have this library here that you can use for that. So let's see if I can get this to be still. Okay. So I'm just going to go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing that I want you to do is create a list of 10 media outlets in your industry. Now, typically, most business people, you can come up with 5 kind of off the top of your head. Like you don't have to do a lot of deep thinking for at least 5. And when I say media outlets, you can, a good way to do this is to go back through your own, Facebook or Twitter profiles and pages and see what are some of the media outlets that you've shared from in the past. It doesn't have to be people that you shared from 12 times or 13 times. Just if you've shared a link from a media outlet, then that means that they cover something that applies to your business. So go through your Facebook page, and this is if you can't think of anything offhand, go through your Facebook page or your Twitter profile and make a list of all the different media outlets that you've shared something from recently. So you can go back 30 days. You will probably find 10 if you go back 30 days on your Twitter page and 30, maybe 60 days on Facebook, because Facebook, sometimes people share less often. But just make a list of 10. So we start with 10. Don't try to do 20, 30, 40. I don't want you to overwhelm yourself with creating your content library. And this is something that you can do in a couple of hours. So don't commit tons and tons of time initially, because this is a process that can be ongoing. So once you've done that, once you've made a list of 10 media outlets and include their websites, Then I want you to make a list of 5 bloggers that are in your industry or your niche. Now, this might require a little bit of research, but what I would suggest for research purposes here is just what is your business about? Like, what is that descriptor term? Type that word, which, will be a keyword or key phrase, and blog or blogger into a search engine, and you will get a list of people who blog about that particular industry, topic, keyword, etc. And find 5 of them. Now, a lot of people kind of already know offhand at least 1 or 2 bloggers who are talking about their industry. And if you've ever done any type of influencer marketing program or influencer marketing research, then you probably know even more, because typically when people make those kinds of lists, they come up with a decent amount of people to kind of choose from. So you just want to look for someone who blogs consistently about your particular industry, because that is a treasure trove of information that you can then share on your own social media platforms. And because this is someone who is branding themselves as an expert in this space, you know that they're going to care about the quality of the information that they share, as well as the way that it's presented. And you can make sure you find a blogger who is in line with your brand. So if you go and kind of poke around on someone's website and you don't really agree, like some bloggers and some writers, they use language, they use colorful language, they might be more personal, they might be, or super corporate and kind of super professional and super specific and organized and kind of, maybe not as relaxed as you would like in tone. So you can find someone where that'll, a blogger that'll fit your brand. But do that. So I want to make a list of 5 bloggers in your industry or niche that and add this to your library. The next thing I want you to do is list 5 competitors' Facebook pages and Twitter profiles. Add this to your content library. The reason why this is valuable is because actually it helps you with doing your own research, because it's very likely that your competitors are also sharing content from publications, bloggers, outlets that you might not have considered. Also, sometimes your competitors share valuable information that they've created themselves. So of course you would definitely kind of fine-tooth comb or, carefully handle this particular situation, because you don't want to promote a competitor if it doesn't make sense for your business. But in some situations, you are a competitor, but you're not a direct competitor. So it's fine to showcase something that they do that can help, educate your customers. It's not going to take business away from you by highlighting them. So you want to add them to your content library, but you can put them in kind of a separate section that says competitors. And then that can be where you go for your own inspiration if you're trying to find some interesting information to share, because sometimes your competitors might have someone that's designated to that type of research, whereas you might not, or they just might, have some access or might have come across some information that you haven't. So it's never a bad idea to incorporate competitor research into your process. So then you wanted this 5 competitors' Facebook pages and Twitter accounts. So that's 10. Now, I would suggest to make this process as, simple as possible and really make it work within 2 hours is to use competitors' Twitter and Facebook like the same. So because people often will share different things on Facebook than they do on Twitter. Sometimes they'll share the same thing, but other times they might switch it up. So you can put those together. So you don't have to go and find 5 separate competitors and 5 separate Facebook accounts and 5 separate Twitter accounts. It can be the same. And so once you've, written those down, then I want you to find 5 Pinterest pages, or I would say either Pinterest accounts or Pinterest boards. Pinterest accounts might be better just because people tend to update their accounts more so than they might update a specific board, just to give you a broader range of information to share. And also a little side pro tip, whenever I'm creating content calendars for clients, Pinterest is a great resource that I use for image content, because image content is high value wherever you share it. So if you're trying to create an Instagram profile, or you want to put more images on Facebook or even on Twitter, and you don't have the ability to hire a graphic designer, or you don't have the time to kind of create some images that fit, you can find some really awesome, high quality images on Pinterest. And I mean, it could be like just pictures, they can be image quotes, they can be infographics. Like, I definitely use Pinterest for my image research on a very consistent basis. So you can definitely find some good stuff on Pinterest. So what I would do is find 5 Pinterest accounts that fit within your industry and your brand and write those down. And then there you have it. Now you have a starter content library. Now, as it relates to copyright issues, there aren't any, because when you're sharing your people's images from Pinterest, what I suggest you do is tag them on the platform. So say, for example, if I'm working with a client and I find a really cool picture on Pinterest, what I'll do is it takes like a couple of extra steps, but it pays off in the end. I'll click on the blog post where that particular image came from. And usually the person who created that image has a Facebook page, a Twitter profile, an Instagram profile, or their own Pinterest account that you can tag when you share it. So if you're taking a picture, say I'm taking a picture for Instagram. So what I'll do is go to their page and see, okay, does this person have an Instagram page? A lot of people do. And so I'll just pull their platform, their Instagram name. I'll pull that down. And so whenever I post it and when I schedule it in the content calendar, I put, here's the image, whatever copy, and then make sure to tag at such and such. So now you're giving them credit. You're showing people you got the image from here, but you still have some great content to share. And you're also kind of guiding your audience to someone that could be a good resource for them. So it's not a copyright issue because you're not taking the information and saying that it's yours. You're sharing someone else's content. And whenever you do that, I always tell people, make sure you're tagging the people whose content you're sharing, even on Facebook. Because even though Facebook might not alert them that they were tagged, I don't know that happens for sure. But what happens is that people who are following them see the tag in their timeline. And so there's still an interconnectivity that takes place there that's super valuable for your business. And also, Facebook really likes for you to do things to keep people on the platform. So if you're sharing an article or an image or a quote or something that's coming from someone else's page who has Facebook, then you are giving them credit, but you're also showing Facebook that you're keeping people on for additional insights, because Facebook likes you to do things to keep people on platform, which is why they have the whole, if you upload images to Facebook specifically, then you will get more exposure for your page than if you just link to an image. Because even though you can see it, Facebook likes things that are native to the app. And really all tools do, but Facebook kind of rewards you the way that their algorithm is set up. So that's it. I'll do a really quick recap, and then I can answer some questions. So again, to create a content library, and this is your starter, because what I would suggest you do is add to it as you go, because you're going to start finding, other pages and other places where you can share information from. And so you can just add to it. But right now, start here so that you have a base, and then, don't stress yourself out about it. And you can do this in a matter of a couple of hours. So I strongly suggest you write these things down and you incorporate this, in your week soon so that you can have some consistent content. So a really quick recap. First thing is list 10 media outlets that relate to your industry. And media outlets, they're dedicated publications that create content on a consistent basis. So list 10 of those. The second thing you should do is list 5 bloggers in your industry or niche in your library. And these are people, if you're not sure who the bloggers are, just type in your keyword and blogger and you will find some, and then you'll kind of get this process going. The third thing is list 5 competitors' Facebook and Twitter accounts, or both. So list their Twitter and Facebook profiles, because this gives you some social media research that you can just pull from to see, what are they sharing? They might have shared a really cool article that you didn't even notice that came out that you maybe want to write a blog post about, or you might also want to share with your audience. So it's not a bad idea. And that's not a a copyright issue, because they're sharing someone else's content. So you're just doing the same thing. And so it's fine. The last thing you should do is get 5 Pinterest accounts and list those that relate to your brand and your industry. And there you have it. Now you have a content library that you can use to pull from whenever you're trying to figure out what you want to share. Because content curation is something that is super valuable and necessary in order to be able to be consistent on social media. Because unless you are a content creator full time, because even though I'm a content creator, I'm not a full-time content creator. I'm also a strategist. So I'm not just spending all of my days crafting, creating content. And so being able to curate content from sources that do that is like, it's a great hidden jewel that more people should take advantage of so that their profiles can remain vibrant and in motion.